Morning everybody, it's Patrick with Gill. So we got the fan clutch off. Took one of my guys to have to hold the belt, and then I just kept hitting it with the gun until it finally came off. So it's off, and now it's a matter of getting the belt, crankshaft off. Take this, I guess it would be more like an idler pulley system, but it just runs the fan clutch. But it's 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, and that comes off. And then we're going to work on getting the case off. So there you go. And I'll keep you informed. So another thing, I've got the idler pulley off, which is pretty cool because I'm starting to think this motor, or at least the head's been off. Yeah, because this is marked. I mean, somebody could have just replaced this, but hopeful thinking. You are going to have to take the crank sensor off to get into the KDP. And here's the thing with this. Because it's Dodge and because it's crazy, the highest one I have is 0.25, so I'm just taking a feeler gauge in there, and this seems to be rubbing a little bit. I can kind of feel it, you know, like rub. So I'm going to say 0.25 is, that's where it's at. So take that off. You're going to unbolt it here and unbolt it here, and then plug this up, and I'm going to see if I can, I'm going to clean this as much as I can, but I'm going to look for a harness. So all right, on to the next thing. Alright, so now that I got the crank sensor off, this is just a little bracket here, and you'll see you have these studs. Those will need to go back in their location. And the next thing is getting the crank off, and then we'll start getting the timing cover off. So just for now, until I get the crank off, I'm going to keep that back on there. And I am going to be cleaning all of this off. Poor truck. So, alright, on to the next thing. So it looks to me that there's just 4 bolts to hold this crank on. I'm actually using the truck's own motor. I'm putting it over here with a long bar. On each one is 15. And I'm cranking the starter, just bump it, and loosening the crankshaft bolts. I'm going to go around and do that with each one. So, anyways, after you get the crankshaft bolts out, the crankshaft should just wiggle right off. And then the next thing I was working on is there's just, on mine at least, there's just this little bracket here. You unbolt this bracket, turn the bracket, and then you should be able to loosen this off if you want. I'm just going to probably pull the timing cover and do all this with the timing cover off and everything. So, alright, I'm going to start taking off timing cover bolts. Here we go. So one thing I've been doing before I get the cover off, and by the way, I did find out this does turn. You can just unwind it clockwise and this just comes out. But I put this back on. There was just a lot of oil on this block and the head, and so I'm scrubbing it with a brush. And the main reason is I don't want to pull this cover off and then have dirt falling in the timing cover and getting on the gears. And I also am replacing the water pump, and I don't want a bunch of dirt getting into the water ports and stuff. So I've cleaned all around. It's, you know, it's been painted, and I can't tell you at this point if this head's ever been off. But there's kind of the head gasket. You know, I couldn't tell you if that's a newer head gasket or not. There's kind of a hard thing to tell. So, could be the original head gasket. I don't know. But, you know, there's things I'm seeing. There's like the first sign is this has been changed. And then that crank seal does look a little bit newer. I don't know if that's the original or not. And I've been just cleaning down there on the oil pan lip. You know, I'm just trying to clean as much. I mean, diesel oil is a pain in the butt to clean. So you just got to get to scrubbing and cleaning, and, you know, unless you're going to pull the whole motor and start pressure washing it and everything. So I got a new water pump. So I'm at the point I'm going to pull the water pump next, clean the top of that timing cover under it some more, and then I'll pull the timing cover. So now I got the water pump out. I've cleaned that the best I can. I mean, you know, diesel oil is just a bitch. Some of that's paint. Anyways, the water pump comes off. It's just an O-ring in there. Easiest water pump I've ever done in my life, and 2 bolts. And then I just kind of took my hammer and just tapped the water pump, and it kind of pops out of there. And then now I'm going to take the timing cover off. But I have a new water pump that's going in there, and then we'll go from there and see what's behind this cover. Here we go. Alright, so I got the timing cover off, and all I'm going to say is thank you, Lord, that I did. I don't know if you can see in there, there's that dowel pin. She about almost ready to come out of there. She was wiggling her way out. That would have been the end of the motor. So right here, this is where you put the plate. We're gonna push the dowel pin back in. I gotta tap it back in. I'm gonna put this plate in there. Probably Loctite it. And that's what comes out right there is this dowel pin. That's what they call it, the killer dowel pin, KDP. Other than that, that's it. The other thing I'm gonna do though, some people have said, so what you do is you go in here and you have your timing case bolts. You just either want to pull those out and re-Loctite them or snug them down. Because what happens is these bolts can be loose on the timing cover themselves, and they can come out and push up against these wheels. And that's where you have a problem. It'll start binding up and stuff. So, yep, that's where I'm at. It's looking good so far, though. I mean, time to get that KDP pushed back in, though. Wow. All right. So I have now tapped that pin back in. It feels pretty flush. Maybe I'll send a couple more at it, but a couple things that I didn't hear about is that is not pin. The pin doesn't slide out easy. And it definitely doesn't go back in easy. It's a little bit of, you're going to have to get a hammer in there and smack it pretty good and keep working it in there. And then it's a matter of getting this bolt out, putting the new piece in there, and then you red lock. I'm going to red Loctite because I don't plan on cracking this case open at least for another 100,000, I hope. And other than that, yeah, she's ready to go, and then we'll start talking about cleaning parts and putting the timing cover back on and go from there. Right, so a couple things about putting the KDP back in. One, some people say don't use red Loctite or blue. I'm just going to use a dabble of red. I really don't want this setup ever coming out. And this is what it is. It is a machined cover. I already really don't like that it's hex head, but anyways, I'm going to red Loctite it. The torque settings for this is 18 foot-pounds, so that's what I'm going to do. There is a rule though, when you're using, I have a digital torque wrench, when you are using extension, remember you're adding so much torque too. So usually if I feel like I'm getting right up to 18 and starts torquing it down and really getting snug, I'm going to go off of that. So no further ado, here we go. Alright, pin and plate is now in there. Just covering the dowel pin. When I did go to tighten it up, it did try to slide up against this. So I did, I picked it up a little bit so it sits there and covers that pin. And I did red Loctite it and I did torque it down. It did torque good. So that's it. That's the fix. On to bigger and better things. So anyways, this is the end of the day. Where I'm at. I got the cover off. I told you the same blaster machine, and whatever they put on these covers, it is thick. And kind of where I'm stuck at right now is I'm trying to get this front seal out for the engine. Gonna look into this a little bit more tonight, but day 2, that's it. I'm still waiting for the tool to help push the new one in, and then I'm also waiting for the engine turning tool. I was gonna do a valve adjustment and stuff, but probably do a valve adjustment later down the road. But so anyways, tomorrow I'll shoot some more videos, but this will be part 2. This was just getting into there the rest of the way, getting it out, and lots of cleaning, and yeah, see how this goes.